are here. Correct? Yeah, all the members are here. So we've got a quorum plus our associate, Tim Cronin. So we'll go ahead and get started with item number 1. This is a pre-application conference for 187 Main Street. John Sarkis is the proponent, and I think I saw that John was here.
Yep.
John, let's see, what would you like us to be looking at as we take this up? Do you want
I don't have anything at our last meeting. We went away with a short list of questions for interpretations on the bylaw, and I'm hoping to get answers tonight.
Okay. Well, the two areas in question that I recall were calculating the number of units that could be counted in a yield plan that would then be forming the basis for the number of units. We heard from the town manager who opined, and we also spoke with the building commissioner, Sam Jocelyn. And I don't know if do we have his response in writing too, Chris? I think we do. Wasn't Sam's in our packet?
Yeah, right there.
And as I had thought, and as has certainly been the practice in this board, I think all board members have read this, but Sam let us know that given that the two-family dwelling is an as-of-right use in West Newbury, then any lot could have either a single-family or a two-family dwelling unit on it, which would allow the interpretation of counting each lot as capable of supporting 2 units. Now, that's all other things being equal. We haven't talked about soils or septic or anything, but in terms of zoning, that was his finding. So does that answer that question, John? He's reading it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ray, yes, do you have a comment? Ray, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I need very clean, very straightforward language here. Because what I read from Angus, let's just say that the yield plan yields 13. Are we talking about the basic maximum number being 13 or 26?
Well, that's what we're trying to determine. So
what Sam says here sounds like Sam believes it should be 26, and what
Yes.
Angus wrote, he believes it should be 13.
right, but in matters of zoning, I think I would follow the guide of our zoning enforcement officer.
But ultimately, of course, the decision is ours to make.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
His letter does not answer one of the questions that I had.
Okay, which is?
The question is that the planning board shall determine basic maximum number, and it does not state that it shall be tied explicitly to the number on the yield plan, or capped by that also.
Right.
And I don't see that Sam's answering that question.
No, he doesn't answer that question. I
Right.
think, and I don't think the bylaw really answers it,
Right.
but it certainly doesn't say it's a cap. And I think one reason the bylaw may not say that, now I'm just opining here, is because there are various bonuses and things that can be derived. But those are based on the basic maximum number. I agree with you. That
Bonuses are based on a basic
on the
maximum.
basic maximum
Yeah.
number. Other members have
Yeah, I mean,
comments?
it's this board member's opinion that the 13 units equals 26 as the basic maximum number. There are density bonuses
Right.
depending on the makeup or whatever the applicant may wish to avail himself of.
Right.
But I would vote in favor of it's 26.
Well, that's certainly been our practice with the previous projects we've permitted under this bylaw.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just say, just as a reference, Chris, maybe put this on our list of things to do. that it would be nice to make this language unambiguous. And we've
Right.
tried in the past. I think tonight is an indication that we need to make it more clear in the future.
Yes.
Yes.
But
Agreed.
I'm persuaded by Sam's argument, and I agree with Brian. And I understand how John can look at the bylaw and say, well, there's nothing that says exactly that the basic maximum number equals the yield plan result, but that's always been our understanding. And like I said at our last meeting, I went back and looked at old bylaws, and I didn't find anything explicit there that would help us tonight. But I agree with my colleague Brian Murphy on this one.
Well, I would also say to John and to all of us that in the absence of basing it on the yield plan, it could be said to be somewhat arbitrary and capricious in either direction. And therefore, we're best to stick with the yield plan derived number.
Yep.
And if I might add, precedent.
Yes. Although, as we all know.
Past practice,
Yes.
past practice, not precedent.
So that was that question. The other, John, had to do with inclusionary, and we can go back to the numbers in a minute if you want. And I think that there, the language is very clear in the bylaw, which is what, 6.1, the inclusionary bylaw? 6.1.4 speaks to the fact that 10% is required. 6.1.5 describes in some detail the comparability that's required, that the affordable units are required to meet certain criteria as comparable to the market rate units. 6.1.6 talks about how fractional units are handled. In other words, you provide a unit for every 10 units, and then the fractional part can be done as a unit or as a contribution in cash. And 6.1.7 is talks about off-site development of units. And that's basically something that's would have to be negotiated with the planning board. It's not by right one way or the other. It's not forbidden and it's not permitted by right.
Okay.
Okay,
I'd
so
like to go back to your point, Ann, or your comment on arbitrary and capricious. And I fully understood that to be the case. That's why I had suggested that parameters be set in determining the basic maximum number, rather than it be arbitrary and capricious. I had mentioned at the last meeting that if the board were to say issue a memorandum that 26 is the basic maximum number, and I proceeded to come to the board with 26 single-family houses, 4 bedrooms each.
John, I'm just going to interrupt you a minute. Whoever has the dog that's making noise, would you please mute yourself? It's quite distracting.
Sorry.
Thank you.
That a basic maximum number could be arrived at by the board with a description of a proposed unit mix. In other words, if the board were to say 31, just again, randomly or hypothetically, could 32 one-bedroom units be considered a reasonable basic maximum number?
Well,
The impact of 32 one-bedroom units is nowhere as great as 26 four-bedroom units.
right, but now we're getting into sort of a different realm because presumably those, I mean, we can't design your project for you. At a certain point, we might need to start getting some peer review for some of this, but I assume that one-bedroom units would be aggregated in larger buildings, and now we're in a different realm.
You can only have four dwelling units in a building.
Right.
Well, isn't the
those-
question related to, what would 26,
You're talking about bedrooms, right?
20, yeah, wouldn't the 26 yield X amount of bedrooms? And then John says, so let me take those bedrooms and distribute it this way?
You did it differently. Yeah, I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not thinking in terms of bedroom, I'm thinking in terms of impact to the community.
Right, but you did
Well,
mention one
it
bedroom
all-
units in your
It-
example.
it- In all facets, size of structures,
Mhm.
you know, I don't think the way it's written is very good. I think we're all agreeing with that, you know? Uh, let's face it, a 4-unit structure with 1 bedroom per unit
Mhm.
is not a very large building,
No, yeah, I'm not saying it is.
right? And
No.
doesn't create great visual, aesthetic, or other impact, you know, traffic, environmental, all the other things that really should go into the thought process when arriving at a basic maximum number. And I understand the regulations are sort of vague and not specific to that matter, you
Mhm.
know. But it would be nice to you know, have a basic maximum number to go ahead and design my project with. And if the board is inclined to just say the basic maximum number is 26, because that's been our policy, I will certainly accept that and work with that and propose a project within that realm. I just wanted us to understand if the board were willing to consider a basic maximum number higher than 26 with the proviso that you know, some other type of dwelling unit with a lesser impact per dwelling unit were
Mhm.
part of the package, would the board even consider that?
Mhm.
And
Yes,
Madam
Brian,
Chair,
I'm
through you
sorry,
to the board.
I can't see you. Brian, are you asking to be
Yeah.
recognized? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, if I may.
Yeah.
You know, I think John raises, you know, good points. Um, However, I think we need to be mindful that perhaps in what he's suggesting might not fit under an open space preservation development anyway in its criteria and intent. And primarily that the language we have is the language we must interpret. We may not like it. We may think it needs to be clarified,
Mhm.
but we've done this on 3 major projects in town. Well, two for sure. Ocean Meadow was a age restricted project.
Mhm.
And I just sitting here tonight, I'm not sure how I could think of, you know, a defensible position to come up with something other than what we've worked off before. You know, in the 2 other projects, we've even gotten totally into the weeds with a consulting engineer during the design process, looking at the septic pits and you know, how many of these are, you know, going to support the bedrooms and whatnot. And I think we wanted to get away from that type of very
Mhm.
particular analysis.
Mhm.
But right now, tonight, I'm persuaded that it's 26 because that's a clear interpretation that is, to me, very defensible.
Well, I have to, I think there's a lot of truth in what you say, Brian. The bylaw does not talk about something based on the number of bedrooms, for example,
Right.
No,
or the number of
you're,
structures.
you're right. And that's why perhaps it was on the Whetstone Street project where we got into looking at, you know, what was laid out as a subdivision, and then do you really have all the septic locations clearly, you know, they're not under part of the house type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway,
And
There are also other features of the OSPD, John. You know, it's meant to provide certain benefits to the town. And I think given its name, one of the benefits is that houses are clustered or grouped more compactly, thereby preserving more open space and more meaningful, usable open space. So that's another element that we'd have to talk about. There's a school of thought that says that the drawing we saw last time of OSPD was not that different, perhaps, than a conventional subdivision sort of drawing. So, Ray, go ahead.
So I agree with Brian. We got to go with how it's written. I think that there's a cogent argument that John brings up that we could consider for change to this bylaw, where we're dealing with number of bedrooms, like you convert basic maximum number to the number of bedrooms, and then the proposed development can't exceed that number of bedrooms. But as it's written now, we don't have it. And then, yeah, we got all bogged down in pits and percolation and all that, and we revised our language to try to address that, and hopefully that'll play out, and we'll see that that worked. And then the other thing, talking to the applicant, to John, we do allow an increase for detached single-family dwelling units less than 1,500 square feet. There might be a way to leverage that. I think that's what we are kind of aiming at as far as smaller units to provide a benefit for. That's what we've got now. I don't know if John can work with that. And I just want to remind everybody that although we're talking about a specific number here, 26 and 13 and all that, that this is still a pre-application hearing, and we don't know what the final yield plan that John brings forward will be. And we don't know what John will come forward with respect to, let's see, I want to use the right language here, increases in permissible density. So
Right.
I just want to caution everybody, because it sounded like we're talking about 26 as being the definitive number, but it's early days yet.
Yes, absolutely. John, I had a question about this type of zoning bylaw. Is this something that you have used in other communities?
Nope.
Okay. That answers that question.
Madam Chair, through you, the board.
Yes, yes.
Well,
Chris?
this issue of density, as we're discussing it, I'm looking but cannot find the calculations for the density bonus. And there is a calculation that if you provide additional affordable units, you get more density. I don't know what that is, but
9.1.13.
yeah, so I didn't hear anybody mention that, but that would be a
Yeah.
path to getting more density.
Right. Yes, that's what I was trying to mention, Chris. At 9.1.13, section B, are what we were calling cottage units.
Right.
And then there's other density increases for extra accessory dwelling units and protected open space and affordable housing units.
So there's all that. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
wanted to throw that
all
in
kinds
the
of
mix.
stuff. Yes.
Thank you.
Question,
Yes, Deb, go ahead.
wouldn't 26 four-bedroom units exceed the septic capacity for the package conventional treatment system?
I think it'd be close. What is that, 92? No, sorry. It's
It
100.
it would be greater than, yeah. Again, this was a hypothetical discussion.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to,
Yeah.
there is sort of that is another limiting factor in how many bedrooms you can create, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And
Thank
this is something that we talked about a great deal when we had all our MBTA things.
Right,
That there's a physical limitation to the number of bedrooms that any applicant could propose for this site or any other site based on percolation rates and square footage and whatnot.
Yes.
I remember people were skeptical of that, but here it is.
No, it's absolutely the case. Can you, I don't have, Chris, do you have the drawing from last time? I just want to look at the open space. Is that easy to put your hands on? I know it's not in this packet.
There is my zone.
And
Yeah,
what I would suggest in the future, though, is on matters like this, that those prior drawings be included in the week's package.
yeah, that's a good idea. That's how we end up with those 182 page packets sometimes.
Well, I would have dropped the presentation on comprehensive plans, but yeah.
Well, let's see, what do you think?
Nah, I don't have it up.
John, do you have it readily accessible right there? No?
I can try.
Okay.
All right, now bear with me here.
Tech challenge.
I'll try to bring it up on my side too.
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
there we go.
Somebody found it. Was that you, Ray? Some magician. So, John, this drawing doesn't show what I'll call the whole right-hand side, the more southerly end of the parcel, right?
Correct.
Which is tacitly is protected because it's wetlands, really. I think the
Correct.
calculations that get used have to do with the upland part of the site.
They do, and they're also poorly worded. I think we've all been aware of the sort of math error, I guess, in there, or the formulaic error in there. We have to comply with it. I'm well aware of that.
But
And
if you remember 2 weeks ago, I mentioned this, that we've got, yeah, I think you can see my cursor, right?
Yes.
So in this back area, some of that's wet and won't count as protected open space because it's wet. Same thing would happen with steep slopes, though I don't know that we've got any here.
I don't think so.
So that's another way that perhaps when final numbers are run, there'll be additional permissible increase in density.
Mhm. Or not,
Or not.
looking at the sort of, I understand this is extremely preliminary. It's not even an application. We're just talking, but struggling a little bit to see the fabulous open space.
Well, and I'll point out, as John mentioned a couple of weeks ago, he's protecting open space at the front of the site, which protects
Which is important.
viewscapes.
Yes.
And I'm sure the whole town would appreciate that if a plan like this comes into reality.
Yes, that's right. And we did a similar thing at Ocean Meadow, so that from the street, the impact is relatively reduced.
Right, that's all a septic field, right? As you
Yes, same with
enter,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, as I say, that isn't the final drawing. I just wanted to sort of bring that up again.
Yeah.
yeah, these drawings were permitted to have a discussion about
Yeah.
interpretation.
Absolutely. Give us something to hang our hats on. Okay. So what are you're still feeling itchy about the basic maximum number? Or I think the board has
No,
given
if
you a
the-
sense of its approach.
Yeah, if the board is leaning towards capping it at 26, I would just like the comfort to start spending some real money here
Mhm,
and decide which way I want to go,
mhm.
whether it be conventional, based on the basic maximum number and the value of the open space and its interpretation on inclusionary.
Yeah. I guess one thing is that yield plan showed the lots complying with area and frontage. And although I know the project is planned for shared septic, in the yield plan, do we have any confidence that each of those lots would support a two-family septic?
They were designed they were roughed out that way.
So there's been, I know, endless perk testing on this site over the years. So that could be supported. I mean, we'd have to have the peer reviewer look at that, but
Correct, yeah.
yeah, okay.
And
Any Yes, Ray, go
again,
ahead.
John, I'm wondering if if you predict any sort of changes to the yield plan as, do you guess that your final yield plan that you would bring forward will be pretty much the same as the yield plan that we've seen, or are you thinking about maybe figuring out a way to get an extra lot in there, or maybe have to take away a lot?
It could be either, Ray. It's been well
Gotcha.
thought out at that. At what I presented the other night. It's been well thought out that I really haven't pushed the engineers in any way to squeeze a 14th out of it.
Yeah, and again, there's going to have to be the evaluation of the wetlands and whatnot, make sure everything works.
That's right.
Yeah.
Again, this was for the purpose of understanding all the interpretations of the bylaws.
Right.
Okay. All right. Other board members, any final thoughts? No?
Only question is, does John need anything else from us?
I
Or
don't
can
think
now-
so.
Okay,
Rob, thank you. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate the boards looking into all this. And we go
Okay.
back to the drawing boards, as they say.
As they say, yeah. All right. Thanks very much.
Very helpful.
We'll,
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
and if I could,
Yes, Rob?
I'd really like to endorse Ray's observation that we've got to go back and revisit this. What John was raising theoretically is a very important consideration of getting to the ability to have a little more diversity in housing by having a little more flexibility, which we unfortunately haven't built into this subdivision regulation. I think it's worth considering at some point. Of course, when we go through the master plan, we'll be doing exactly that. We'll have the ability to play around with concepts of what John was really raising, which is, well, is there not a way to figure it out a little more mathematically, probably based on bedrooms, and then looking at how I redistribute the bedrooms and see if it isn't even better than the conceptual plan, which the by right plan, which is what you're supposed to try to do in some fashion, and without giving developers the ability to present to us things that we're not even probably have never seen that might actually work better. We've kind of hamstrung ourselves and the developers.
Well, I think this might be an opportunity for us to find and engage the services of a land use consultant of some sort. This type of bylaw we've had in town for a
Right.
number of years. It's been tested in many communities now, and I'm sure there are iterations, adjustments, all these
People
kinds
have found
of
things out,
yeah,
yes.
that we don't
absolutely.
know.
Right,
But those who consult in this area repeatedly might
Right.
have some really good help for us. So
Yep. Thank you.
I think that could be a parallel process because
Yep,
we've kind of known in the back of our minds that these things were somewhat unclear. And now we're also finding that they are less flexible than we might like. So let's
Thank you.
pursue those. Okay. Thank you. All right. Item 2 on our agenda is another pre-application conference. This is the first time we're seeing this one. It's located at 28 Coffin Street. And this proponent is looking at a conventional subdivision type approach to our bylaw. Is there someone here from the applicant who wants to make the presentation?
Yep, Matt Waterman with Land Tech Consultants.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Waterman. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, members of the board. Matt Waterman with Land Tech Consultants for the record. Here with Mike Ritchie, the property owner at 2828B Coffin Street. Mike has owned the property probably close to 10 plus years and is looking to a definitive subdivision conventional under your definitive subdivision bylaw to create kind of a family compound for his property at 28 Coffin Street. I did meet with Chris Riley, the town planner, ahead of time, and we have kind of gone back and forth a little bit. We have done some soil testing with Board of Health, but we're here tonight just to get some general feedback from the board. It's map 230, parcels 80 and 8D. It's approximately 16.8 acres. There are some steep slopes on site. If you've ever gone down Coffin Street, heading towards the river, it's on your left-hand side before kind of that reverse curve about halfway down on your left. It's the driveway that does have access to the recently preserved Greenbelt Greenway, Essex County property that just recently went into a conservation restriction. And one of the access easements is over Mike's driveway and off into those back fields. Plan that we're looking at here, Coffin Street is down on the bottom side of our plan, or plan south. And then Mike's driveway kind of comes up the middle where we show a cul-de-sac road, and then his driveway extends up to the northwesterly plan as we're looking at this plan portion. And you can see a circle with his house and driveway. There are some steep slopes on site. They range anywhere from 4% to as much as 20%. There's probably little pockets that are a little bit more than that, with little areas here and there. It is an existing single-family dwelling just on the 2 parcels of land. The wetlands were delineated back in 2020 by Hughes Environmental. There was an NRAD that was done as part of another project that we're showing on this plan. They have since expired, but that was Mass DEP file number 0780707. So we're fairly comfortable with the wetlands, even though they would most likely have to get updated or confirmed. Soils on site, typical kind of West Newbury soils, not the best soils. There's a mixture from the upper left where you have the highest point where Mike's house sits. And then as you go down towards the wetland, they do get a little better. They go from a Charlton to they're all fine sandy loam, but there's a mixture of Charlton, Sutton, and Ridgebury soils. We did testing and were successful on 2 of the lots of the 3 new lots. And I'll get into that in a minute, but the perk rates range from 20 to 40 minutes per inch with a shallow groundwater table. What we're proposing is to not develop kind of the maximum or the yield that this property could see. Mike, again, is just looking for one property kind of for his dad and his family members. I think one is for his sister, and I know Mike's on the call, and I think there's one more for another family member, relative that he is considering. The 3 lots, they're kind of in the middle of this plan. You can see the dark gray driveways and rectangular footprints for a house. So those are the 3 new lots. They range in size from 1.84 acres, 3 acres, down to 2.69 acres. There is a parcel along Coffin Street that Mike wants to retain. He currently has a small kind of farm stand that I think they sell vegetables and various things along Coffin Street. I'm sure most of you have seen it at some point. He wants to continue to have control of that field. I know that
And that's listed on your plan here as parcel A.
And that is listed as parcel A, correct.
0.92 acres.
Which is just about an acre, just under an acre. It's about 40,000 square feet. And the goal of that was there kind of served 2 purposes. And the primary one was Mike wanted control of that field. He does enjoy the agricultural part of it, wants to continue that. But from my perspective, and I think the planning board perspective, is it kind of preserves that view shed from Coffin Street, where it is currently a maintained agricultural field, and certainly having that parcel A open space, for lack of a better word, would continue to preserve and provide that. The existing parcel, which is in the upper left, Mike's house, would be about 6.59 acres. The roadway mimics the existing driveway that we're showing on this conceptual plan. We're anticipating that it would be 20 feet wide, approximately 540 feet long to the end of that cul-de-sac bulb. And then we would provide a T turnaround. Again, that was to kind of preserve the kind of the rural character of that driveway it is today, while certainly meeting and maintaining emergency vehicles and responders access to the property. We did kind of provide some quick waivers. I don't know if we necessarily want to go through them all. I think it's a little early for that, but we did just kind of give a hint of, what we'd be looking at. We did provide a quick overview of traffic, and Chris just went to the waivers. They range in kind of minimum centerline radius, the roundings at the entrance, driveway slope at the very beginning, for the roadway, kind of having open drainage was our initial kind of thought on stormwater. We haven't really developed stormwater too much, where we are trying to kind of mimic that existing driveway. We anticipate there will be stormwater, but we're not trying to build a subdivision road here. At least that's our goal at this point. And then construct stormwater pipes. In lieu of reinforced, we just anticipate it would be like ADS pipe or something, some more kind of standard practice with private driveways. We do expect that this would be maintained as a private driveway. There would be an HOA that would be responsible for maintaining the driveway, plowing it, taking kind of that burden off the town from a future roadway. And we'd restrict that in perpetuity. Wouldn't have any issues with that. And then again, minimizing the street lighting. Lastly, we did provide a quick yield plan. We were thinking about it. I didn't get it into your packet, so I apologize. I submitted it yesterday to Chris, and the board may or may not have even seen it. But it was a quick take on what we felt like the maximum number of lots using the roadway, maximum roadway length of 800 feet. And then also one critical piece that ties back into that concept plan. These lots are kind of conventional layouts without any special permits for reduced frontage. I forgot to mention that on the previous plan that 2 of those lots were reduced frontage special permit lots. Again, that was to try and maximize the property that Mike retains, and trying to kind of think in a way to kind of reduce some of the lots in a way to help minimize the total disturbance on site, by restricting their access and driveways along that main access road. So this yield plan didn't take into any account any reduced frontage lots. It's strictly 200 feet of frontage, 40,000 square feet lots. They all have the minimum dry upland area. The only one that gets close is lot number 6 down in the bottom right-hand corner. But the total yield is 6 lots. And that's without getting creative on trying to do some special permit. Again, like reduced frontage lots. I know the board's preference is typically to have conventional lots with conventional subdivisions. So that was kind of the purpose of this plan, was to show that the yield is 6 lots. And Mike is coming in with something less than that. And just from a starting point, and hoping that the board kind of understands that and kind of gets on board with Mike's vision. But beyond that, I know Mike is on the call. If there's any specific questions that you may have for Mike, we'd be happy to answer any questions. We did do a turning radius plan today. I don't think we got time to get in front of the fire chief, but we did put a tower ladder, full-size fire truck up the road, and it was able to make the turns and turn around. Obviously, that would get confirmed with the fire chief if this was to move forward. And then I guess lastly, the traffic, if it is on our screens, we just did the ITE 11th edition for single-family homes. Generates about 38 trips in total, average daily, with a maximum peak PM hour of 4 trips in 1 hour. That 38 is obviously entering and exiting. But we've been happy to answer any questions and welcome your input on the board so that we could move forward and start to develop this plan a little further.
Okay, thank you very much. Chris, could you go back to the plan layout that was submitted, the sort of main one? I have to admit, you kind of lost me a little bit, Mr. Waterman, with the number of lots. This that we did see has 5 lots, right? 4 of which you're considering as building lots. Though I will point out that the 5th lot, parcel A, in a conventional subdivision, we can't restrict that at all. It certainly could become a lot. It has frontage and it has area. I see that Rob has a question or a comment.
No, I'm sorry, I was engrossed in something else related to this, and I missed something about protecting one of the parcels from development, and it might be the parcel you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was parcel A that Mr. Waterman explained that the owner would retain ownership and use of that. But as I said, we're not able to, to make that anything perpetual.
Right, right.
So Rob, did you have a comment on that?
No, but did in the presentation, was there some mention of somehow preserving that? Or was it just, it's gonna be a lot and it could be built on in the future?
We haven't even discussed that, to be honest. It was kind of Mike and myself kind of brainstorming and putting this plan together and putting his goals onto the paper. And we certainly, I think his intention is to not build, I mean, we're coming in with +3 lots. That is the intention. And if there's a way that we would formulate the formal submission, whether it's preliminary or definitive, we would take that into account and make sure that we're coming into the board with a subdivision that is +3 lots, 4 total. And that the parcel A would either be restricted, it would be made a different size so that it's non-conforming, or we would, there would be a mechanism, I'm sure we could, our team could develop to give the board the comfort that we're discussing a 4-lot subdivision plus 3 new lots.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
That was the goal of this discussion.
Yeah,
So,
thank
Mr.
you.
Waterman, do the 2 lots, what are the frontages on these lots?
So if you go.
I mean, are they all conforming? I guess that's
No, they are not.
Two are reduced frontage,
So those middle 2 are reduced frontage?
Correct.
yes.
Lots 2 and 3.
And
So
also contiguous buildable area, have those calculations been done?
They have, and I didn't put them on the paper, but we do have, I think I think it's 75% of the lot area must be contiguous dry upland. Obviously for the reduced frontage lots, that would be larger, but the lot 4, for example, is a conventional 40,000 square foot lot with 200 feet of frontage. And it has the required 30,000 square feet of dry upland area, yes. And we
Okay, so
would
you're
confirm that.
deriving that compliance by the fact that the lots are oversized.
Correct.
Okay. Ray, you have a question or comment?
Well, I got a lot of them.
Okay, good.
As far as parcel A, would have to be some sort of conservation restriction or some other legal mechanism, I assume. We have had, not a buildable lot put on drawings, but those have been not buildable lots, and parcel A, yeah, looks buildable. So I think there'd have to be some sort of CR on it. I did take a look for a street view, Google Maps, and yeah, I can see how that's a nice open thing. I think, and then as far as this being a common driveway as opposed to a subdivision road, I understand that, you're trying to save some money there. We've regularly waived street lighting and sidewalks, but I think this pushes it a bit too far. I'm skeptical that this works for servicing all 4 lots as some sort of common driveway. I may have missed things as I was hunting around drawings and looking at stuff, so I'm not exactly sure what you're proposing. Am I remembering things correctly? I'm asking my colleagues here about 2 reduced frontage lots side by side.
Can't have it.
And also lot 2, you've got what looks to me to be some pretty steep slopes there.
Yep.
And so I think you're going to run into problems with that. And you forgive me, I'm a retired professor, but the professor hasn't left me altogether. And I think that your yield plan looks a bit forced to me. I'm not sure that the yield plan really represents what you could actually accomplish in a conventional subdivision. I don't know, but I think with lot one, you run into problems with setbacks and septic areas and steep slopes. That's lot one of your yield plan, not one of the proposed ideal plan. And so this is a very tough lot to work with engineering wise, because you've got these steep slopes, and then oddly enough, not usually what happens together, but you've got these wetlands in there as well,
Mhm.
which makes your client's proposed 3 additional lot plan, I think, difficult to make work. Yeah, and I know that engineers are great at making numbers work, but at this point, I'm kind of skeptical. And also, if it's, I'm not sure what you're proposing. And again, I apologize. I probably missed it when you were beginning, and I was hunting around looking at my maps and all that kind of stuff. I'm not quite sure what you're proposing. A conventional subdivision with 2 reduced lots, but a common driveway as opposed to a road. And yield plans, the only time I'm used to seeing yield plans is when an open space development is being thought of. So these are sort of things that run. I'm sure we'll tease this out. I see Brian's got his hand up.
Yes, he does. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, could someone else clarify? I mean, you did say this is not a public road, so it's therefore a common driveway. Aren't we limited to the number of lots?
Yes,
3.
they can be served by a common driveway. Yeah.
So this doesn't even work coming up, in any shape or form for a common driveway.
No, and
Um,
I don't think we were anticipating a common drive. It was
No, I
a
thought this was
definitive
gonna be
subdivision with
a road.
waivers.
Yeah,
No, this is not a public, you just said this is not a public road.
You
So
can have a
therefore it's a common
subdivision
driveway.
road that's private, doesn't mean
No.
it's a common driveway.
Do we have something else in town like that?
yeah, Liberty Lane.
No,
You
that
can have
only
private
serves,
roads.
that
That
only
serves one
serves
house,
one or
Rob.
2 houses. Yeah.
One house.
So, Mr. Waterman, you're proposing a subdivision road, but not accepted as a town road? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah, private road, just
Private road.
built in accordance
We-
with the subdivision standards and any waivers that the board seems acceptable.
Hmm.
Parsons
know-
Woods
I
is,
don't know why you would
Parsons
wanna-
Woods is the same thing.
Yeah, why would you want to do that? So, I'm not quite sure why you would want to do it that way, if you're going to build it to subdivision standards anyway.
It's just my experience that sometimes towns don't want the burden of maintaining that roadway in the future, and it was just our initial approach with the discussion tonight. We're certainly open to reconsidering.
Okay.
We're not hooked on any specific procedure. That was our initial thoughts.
Well,
Okay.
we do often grant waivers on a little dead end road like this, as far as sidewalks and other things. You'd have to kind of be asking us what sort of road requirements you'd want us to waive, but we've done that.
Mhm. I think I'm concerned about the soils and the slopes on this site.
I was just gonna add
And-
on.
Go ahead, Brian.
Whatever this is, a common driveway or a private road or whatever. The amount of water that's gonna pour down that is astounding.
Yes.
And it's
Could I
gonna
speak to that?
require incredible amount of engineering work that we do not have a situation that this town faced at 87 Main Street
Exactly.
on a 3 lot by right with a common driveway. I think there's an enormous problem here with the water runoff potential,
Mhm.
whether it's a town approved road or private or whatever ultimately is chosen here. that there will have to be extensive mitigation efforts under the stormwater bylaw because of the extensive disturbances that are anticipated here.
Yes, I think Deb has some comments along this line.
Having spent 20 years serving on the Conservation Commission, we were out to the then Boucher property on numerous occasions. The beaver ponds, the connecting streams, the driveways that crossed up toward the top of that lot, at one point blew out altogether. And there were Arkansas shiner fish found in the yards of the houses on the other side of Coffin Street.
I recall.
You remember that too,
Oh,
don't
yes.
you? Yeah. The other thing that seems to have disappeared from this plan is any reference to trail access to get back to the Greenbelt parcel. I mean, at this point, we have access to that further down the street on one very narrow access point. But the number of horse properties beyond and around this property and the decades of use by the Myopia Hunt Club, the West Newbury Riding and Driving Club, and many neighbors and abutters, I'm certain that the trail, which with the overlay of the new lots on it, is directly, it's unusable and it would have to be moved, certainly. But maybe there's a way that the lot A could also have a trail easement that ran up that into the backland. But I agree with Brian that the stormwater management, the management of the water that's already there before you develop these lots is very problematic.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had quite the problem with 87 Main Street, as Brian mentions, also a kind of a northeasterly facing slope, I'll say. And in addition to coming down on the street, this one comes down into 3 or 4 folks' backyard. So
That's great.
it's going to be tricky. I think I see Mr. Ritchie asking to be recognized, so please go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking the time to look at this. I greatly appreciate it and letting me speak. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in and say, like Matt mentioned, this is going to most likely stay in the family. That was my goal. The front lot is hopefully going to be combined with mine, and I'd like my property, the existing property in that front lot, to go agricultural and stay that way. That's kind of why we're hoping it's a family style compound, because we'd like to essentially, by doing that, use as much of this property to help with the agricultural aspect. So that is the goal there. As far as what you were saying about the trail and the easement going out to the Greenbelt trails, the Metopia Hunt Club, I talk to them every year. They usually call. They'll always have my permission to cut through there. That trail, though, is not for public access. There's no public access through this property to those trails. The only easement in place is for maintenance equipment. If they need to get equipment into the property, they're allowed to use that road. And that easement states that we can move that trail wherever we need to, as long as the trail exists for them to get in. The general public should not be cutting through that property. Like I said, the Myopia Hunt Club, I always allow through, and anybody with that's perfectly fine. And the other thing I just wanted to say, as far as the runoff goes with water, of course that needs to be engineered and everything, but the road is already there. We're not asking to put anything in, so the runoff should stay fairly similar. I am a GC by trade. I work on projects like this all the time, so it's not like yes, we're widening it a little bit, but the road is already there, and the runoff that's happening should not be much different, but would obviously need to be engineered and would be. But besides that, that's all I really just wanted to chime in and just show that I'm here paying attention. And if there's any questions, anybody can ever reach out to me. I'm here for anything that we can help with, and I appreciate the time. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Chris Riley, have we heard anything? Was this submitted to anybody else? Have we heard anything from the Board of Health regarding septic or stormwater?
Yeah, I talked to Paul
Mhm.
last week. before I prepared the packets and so forth. They're doing a current review. And I guess there's been some soil tests. And there's some challenges there for sure with the soils and the percolation rates and so forth. So
Okay.
that's ongoing, but it's preliminary. So I just told him to keep us updated as they do or witness other engineering tests under their jurisdiction. So, this would be obviously Board of Health has a primary role in the subdivision rules and regulations.
Mhm.
And then once that's approved and in, all of these lots would be under the stormwater authority that they have. So there's rigorous regulation available there, but he just said their analysis so far is preliminary, but it looks like a challenging site.
Okay.
Question.
Yes, Brian.
So I want to be sure the engineer understands that you can't have two adjoining reduced frontage lots.
Yeah, and I guess I must have misinterpreted that because I thought I read it as more than two. So I could certainly reread that and go over that with Chris. But my interpretation was you couldn't have more than two, but
I see Rob's got his hand up and then I've got a question, Ann.
Okay, Rob, go ahead. Sorry, I can't see
Just
it.
to go back to something we were discussing earlier, I took this to be a proposal, subdivision proposal with a road and not a common driveway, but also, just to clarify, we do have developed subdivision developments which are private roads. Old Parish Way is one, Break Hill Terrace is another. So I'm not quite clear whether, I mean, if Old Parish Way was developed, did we change zoning so you can't have a private road? I don't believe
Where
that's
is
true.
Old Parish Way?
Off of Way to the River,
Off of Way to the River.
And how old is that?
probably
40
40.
years.
40
something like
years.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to be cognizant of we are where we are and we have a difficult site here in front of us.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I
Yeah.
just don't want there also be floating around anything that might be a misstatement. I heard you can't do private roads in this town. I don't believe that's true.
Yeah,
I
and
believe that's the election of the applicant.
also the end of Bailey's Lane it was supposed to be private way, but I believe the town maintains it because the plows can't turn around without going down. But I think you get to the big oak tree and from there on down, it's considered a private way.
Right. So they do exist.
Serving two lots, and that's
Yeah.
much more recent than 40 years ago.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, Madam Chair, through you to the board.
Yes, Chris?
Just the distinction here with quite a difference is if it's a private road, then it's clear and assumed that the town will not maintain it in any way, and you have to have a homeowners association and the proper documentation and everyone understanding that it's the homeowner's responsibility to maintain that in perpetuity. The town will not be accepting it.
Just
That-
as
so
Old
that's the
Parish Way
distinction.
knows that they can't have snow plowing or rubbish removal. Yes.
Right.
That's
I'm not
that's
sure
by
about
state
this.
statute. Yeah.
Is the trash removal part of that?
Yes.
It is. Yes. Yes. Yes.
In
Okay.
fact, I think
Yeah,
that's,
but we don't have to worry about that. The question is,
Yeah.
I don't want an applicant going away thinking he can't do something if in fact they could. That's
Which
all
I-
I'm raising.
Which I appreciate. And again, I mean, if you're doing a conventional subdivision, you don't have to come before the planning board, right? I mean, you'd come before us for a special permit for the reduced frontage lots. And
Well,
no, you come to the planning board, and the planning board's interest is in things like management of water off the site and the construction of the road to standards and so forth.
Yeah.
okay.
This
And
is
then
not an
and
A
then
and R.
you're not proposing an A&R here.
No.
No.
not at all.
No,
No,
it's not an A and R.
No, there's one existing house on this lot, which is large, and the owner's proposing to carve a chunk of his lot into a bunch
Right,
of other
right.
lots.
Right,
it's
but
basically-
often when we take a big lot and cut it into smaller lots, that is an A&R.
But if it had frontage on an existing
On
road,
an existing road.
but this does not. This is a new road. There's a driveway there now.
Yeah,
The
okay. Yeah,
distinction.
Yeah, it comes down to adequate access under the statute. So to Ray's point, there is some ambiguity there, but generally speaking, that's why we have the subdivision control regs, particularly for a scenario like this where you have to be able to provide adequate public safety access to particularly to the rear parcels.
Right.
And then help me out here. You'd think I'd have this all down by now, after so many years, but I don't. What if the applicant wants to have a special permit approved for reduced frontage lots and is also doing the subdivision stuff? I mean, what's the order? How do the logistics work here? I mean, you'd have
Well, we've done
approve
it
this-
we've done it years ago, and Brian, remind me, see if I remember correctly. I think we've done it typically as a parallel process so that all the public meetings and public hearings are kind of happening in tandem, because you don't really want one without the other. They're sort of interdependent, right?
Right, that's right.
Yeah, that's
Could be.
why I was asking, because if we're, if you're doing the engineering on this, you kind of have to know whether or not the special permit has a chance of being approved for reduced frontage before you could, I mean, I'm just worried about the applicant getting caught in some sort of engineering fee nightmare.
Well, I'm concerned that the applicant not get too far into the nicety of the specific lots until there's a robust investigation of the soils and the implications for stormwater management and for handling the septic on the site.
And
To me,
also,
those are much more likely, and the slopes, those are more
yeah,
likely
the
to be
the
the
steep
limiting
slopes,
factors.
exactly, the steep slopes and the areas associated with those steep slopes will run into calculations
Mhm.
on a number of different areas and locating septic fields and all that kind of stuff. The steep slopes really complicate this.
Well, they also have to be excluded from the contiguous buildable area.
Right,
Exactly.
All, there's a lot of
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
work to come. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you remember the huge development that was being proposed, and it was exactly in this area with the steep slopes, I think, that ended up convincing people it would be cost prohibitive to work in this area.
Mhm.
So it's a trick and a half to get it to work. I'm looking at lot 2 in
Mhm.
particular with respect to that.
Well, look at the slopes in there. Yeah, it's wild.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know that you can do it.
Yeah.
No, and I think, our goal moving forward, obviously we'll take in all the comments and considerations, specifically septic slopes, stormwater. We'd probably come back in with a preliminary plan that kind of vets out some of those questions, comments, grading on the plan, septic locations, give us an opportunity to do additional testing with the Board of Health. We did do testing with the Board of Health to support 2 of the lots 3 and 4, have adequate testing for Board of Health. We haven't designed any septics, and obviously there's that whole process that would still have to get done if this was to move forward.
Mhm.
But we ran out of time, and we were there for one day, and we were able to get 2 lots worth of testing completed.
Mhm.
But we would certainly come back with grading. We could check on the zoning determination for the adjacent lots and develop this further. I mean, we have the room to expand those lots and the frontages. I don't think there's not an issue. It was, our first goal was to just kind of shrink things as much as possible, keep as much land with Mike's property, and preserving this, kind of thinking a lot. It is a conventional subdivision. It's proposed as a conventional subdivision with special permits for the reduced lots. But we were trying, of course, to always think how the goals and project of trying to preserve open space and things like that just with this lot. So we
Yeah,
were kind of blurring it a little bit, and I apologize, but
no,
Yeah, that's why we have these meetings.
Yep. And also, I'm curious, I'm saying like almost all of lot 3 is within the 100-foot buffer to the wetlands.
Mhm.
I know that complicates working in those areas. That's something Deb would be more familiar with than me, but It's,
Well, we're able to comment on what's in our bylaw and what we see before us, but as far
For
as the
sure.
actual design of the project, I'm gonna leave that to Mr. Waterman and his client. Are there other specific questions or comments from the board?
I just read it, the water runoff on this site is, the potential for this with developed lots, driveways,
Yep,
yard areas is enormous.
it is.
Okay,
And this board and you're gonna see it with the Concom people as well. It's gonna take a real feat of engineering to keep that water from impacting current residents and the town road.
okay.
No,
Okay.
And we'll take that into consideration. So, when we have not gotten into that very much, and I apologize, we probably should have gotten into it and provided some kind of conceptual stormwater, but we would certainly do that moving forward.
Thank
well,
you.
yeah, I mean, we're sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one of our main
Well,
considerations under
it's different when
conventional.
you have a site that's relatively flat and whatnot. This
Right.
is far from that.
Right, it's
Yeah,
a
we
challenging
don't
site.
have that luxury.
No,
No.
challenging site. All
But
right,
a beautiful site. I mean,
right.
We all love,
All right, well, Mr.
I have
Waterman.
one last thing.
Oh, yes, Rob, go ahead.
On any reduced frontage lot that comes before us, there's a requirement about the circle with the 200-foot diameter.
Yeah.
mhm.
What can interfere with the 200-foot diameter? For instance, if it goes into wetlands, does that interfere in the 200 feet? Or is it just, you have to have, it doesn't matter what the underlying land is, it's just 200, a radius of 200 feet?
I think we were trying to keep that 200-foot diameter circle outside the wetlands, but I would have to double check.
I'm asking the
thought- I thought
board,
it said-
excuse me, I'm asking the board,
Oh,
is there
sorry.
anything the applicant has to know
What-
about that 200-foot circle? Or is it just a matter of taking a,
Let me read it.
I trust Ann and Brian to correct me, but I don't think there are limitations on that circle as
Right.
long as it fits.
just has to exist?
Yeah, but that's what I recall, and like I said, I don't trust my memory.
I'd want to double check that.
Yeah, I'd
Right.
have to look.
yeah, I
So
would,
I would just ask the applicant to be cautious about anything like, having two abutting reduced lot, stuff like that can get in the way of a discussion pretty fast.
Yeah, and just-
You are better served knowing it as well as should know it.
Yeah, Kai by eye, I don't think you've got the 200-foot circle in lot 2.
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
Yeah, looks pretty tight.
Okay,
But there'll be some changes, I have a feeling, so.
yeah,
We will see what comes back to us when it does come back, and we'll take this up again when the occasion presents itself. All right?
Appreciate your time and input,
All
and
right.
we'll come back with an updated plan, whether that's a pre-submission qualification or submission or preliminary subdivision.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
very much.
thanks.
Mr. Ritchie, thanks. All right, item 3 on our agenda tonight is a continuing discussion on the visioning for the first chunk of what will eventually be a comprehensive plan. And I know that Rob is working with Caitlin. Do you have anything to fill us in with on that,
Yeah,
Rob?
so as you, Chris, and I discussed, boy, the weeks are going so quickly. I think it was last week. I'm sitting down with Caitlin on Thursday to go over good form of the RFP that we're going to send out. I noticed that Chris also threw a thought in there about engaging Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, which is not a bad thought, but they're not, how to say this, we can cover both of those paths together and then make a final decision as to which thing best serves us. I don't think it's going to be for lack of money. I think there's adequate resources to do visioning and build out by far. So I don't think we need to worry about warrant articles or anything like that. So what I would propose to the board is we continue what we started about a month ago, which is to finish up an RFP, work with Caitlin, see if it's acceptable, and then send that out so we can get responses. Just a reminder, it's a request for a proposal. You don't have to accept any of them. You don't have to like any of them. If someone comes in with something that they say, well, we've done this 10 times and these are the things that always work when you're doing visioning, and these are the things to stay away from, and this is how we do build out analysis, and here's then if you like their qualifications, the work they've done, if you like the price, you can say yes, and then we start. This is not heavy lifting for the people that are going to respond to us.
Okay, so we're continuing on that path. I know there was a CPTC training that these are the slides from that slide deck. I think Rob, you were there, and Chris, and maybe Wendy Reed, and did
Wendy Reed was
and,
there.
and Tim, was Tim there? I don't
Yep.
know.
Tim was there.
Okay.
Oh, were
thanks,
you,
Tim.
Tim?
I
Thank
was.
You snuck in. Oh, okay,
Snuck
good.
in. I was a few minutes late, but I did hear it.
Excellent.
Very good.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
And one of the things that is apparent from these slides, I don't know those of you who actually heard the presentation, is that this takes a lot of time and a lot of people. So
But they were talking about a comprehensive plan. We're talking about
yes, no, I know.
visioning and
No,
build up.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Okay.
But clearly the visioning is meant to lead to this. So
Yes, right.
I guess my takeaway is we need to be cognizant of resources at every stage of the game here.
Right. But we've got a lot of money for this stage.
Okay. Brian, Ray, any thoughts or comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right. Chris, anything more?
No, I'm good, thanks.
All right, well, we'll stay tuned for the Rob Caitlin update. Item 4, annual town meeting warrant. I think this is covered in the staff report. There are a couple of zoning initiatives that we will bring forth, but the heavy lifting, I have to say, has been done by Sam Jocelyn, and that is both the cannabis and parking regs. And I think those have been through this board enough to know that we're ready to have a public hearing. The other one that had been talked about was the energy storage regulations, but the state, in its infinite wisdom, continues to seek guidance from the public, and then the public gives its guidance, and then everything changes. So I think the state has not finalized what it is they would like us to do. So we're not going to worry about that until they finalize. But otherwise, we need to have a public hearing. Chris and I talked about this. Given an end of April town meeting date, I think our second March meeting might be a good time to do this.
March 17th, Madam Chair.
Yeah, March 17th gives us certainly time to advertise and prepare in any way that we need to. And should there be dramatic changes, we still have probably 5 weeks or so before the town meeting to cope with that. Thoughts from other board members? Should we tentatively plan on that? Ray says thumbs up.
Sounds good. What was the date again?
Sounds good.
March
March
17th.
17th?
17th? Briefly, okay.
I mean, we may reconsider, but we've got plenty of time. Even if we're to be March 3rd, we'd have time to advertise, but
I will be out of town, March 5th, probably most of the month.
okay.
from
All
after
right.
5th.
After the 5th. Okay, good to know.
So Madam Chair, through you to the board,
Yes.
just in terms of the warrant, I will, as I indicated in my staff report, make sure that the placeholders are sent to you before I submit them as required by February 3rd, 2nd or 3rd. I
Okay.
believe they can change, we know that, but I'll make sure I meet that requirement and you'll get a copy of those beforehand. That's
Okay.
just the so-called four corners language. It's very broad and general to lock in the warrant article itself.
Okay,
cannabis, parking and loading. And the stormwater one that'll codify the Board of
Oh,
Health
right.
as the authority.
oh, sorry, I forgot about that one. So there are three,
Yeah, right.
three of them.
Wow.
Okay,
Good catch, Chris.
yes, thank you. Some of these things fade into the background. Oh, boy. Okay, yes, that's great if we see it before the third, just for anybody to catch anything, but as you say, it's a fairly pro forma document, I think. Thanks. All right, we're on to number 5, general business. We do have some minutes this time.
Madam Chair, I had to forward those when I got them or after the packets
Yeah.
went out.
Yes,
So apologies on that, but you did receive draft set for, I believe,
yes.
September meeting, so you
For
have.
September 16th, yes. Have people had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Anybody else? I did too. I found like one little typo. Anybody else have any? No, I don't know if you've had a chance to review. Rob or Ray or?
I'm good.
No, you're good. Okay, Brian, did you have any comments?
No, I did not.
Yeah, this was really so minor. Where was it? It's
You can
like
give that to me now, Madam Chair. I can go ahead and forward that.
yes.
That'll make
Okay,
things.
on page 3. This is
Okay.
really silly. You're gonna think I'm such a nudge. Item 6, the Parks and Rec memo, that paragraph, the second line up from the bottom. These are items of concern observed by the board. Just a little spelling error there. You see what I mean, Chris?
I don't have it in front of me, but I'll track it down and items of concern, and there's a spelling error on which
Yeah,
one?
yes, the word concern needs to be corrected.
Okay,
Right,
got it.
all right.
Thank you.
Any other comments on the minutes? Hearing none, I move to accept the minutes of September 16th with a small correction.
As
Second,
amended.
Thank you. All in favor? Ann Bardine, aye.
Ray Cook, aye.
Deb Hamilton, I.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Rob Phillips, aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you. The next item of general business is reports and updates on various committees. MVPC, what's new, Brian?
I did not attend the meeting. I was traveling. My understanding was a brief meeting about some potential bylaw changes. That's been discussed in the last couple meetings. Potential vote is perhaps at the next meeting or the meeting in April,
Okay, thank
March,
you.
I'm sorry.
And that's something that you vote on? It's all the commissioners who vote on
Yes,
these
yeah.
changes?
It
Okay.
is mostly procedural matters for the,
Nothing of import. Correct, Brian?
yeah.
Nothing of import, okay.
Just trying to.
Well, it is, you know,
Right.
All important,
It's Todd,
Brian.
the attorney who's making all the fees.
Yeah.
Well, you want to make sure that your procedure and what you're actually
Yeah.
doing and what the
Yes.
bylaw match up, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Affordable Housing Trust, any activity there, Deb?
Well, a couple of things. We are contemplating putting together an ADU educational seminar for the town. We're sort of in the early formulation stage, but there is enough interest in it that getting some authority type figures to join us for a gathering seems like a good idea. So we're working on that. The Mullen property analysis is still underway. It was due the middle of January and we're slightly past that now. But flagging and additional information on the buildability and access to this property is still very much under discussion.
Okay, great. That'll be interesting to see, what kind of attendance you get at seminar and ADU.
It will be, yeah.
Okay. Well, I know Sam Jostled certainly a source of information. I went in with a couple of questions to see him on this maybe a month ago, and he very readily pulled up the permits and the photographs and the floor plans of all the ones that are, underway in town, and that was quite educational to see.
Good.
Folks might like that sort of a visual, to.
Yes. I'm
Oh,
sure.
I was just gonna say, I mean, Sam is gonna be there, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sam is just
Yeah,
remarkable in my
he's
mind.
knowledgeable.
He's
Yep.
knowledgeable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, sounds good. Keep us posted.
Yeah.
And then finally, CPC, anything there, Ray?
I missed the meeting, but there was a meeting on the 14th, and notable in that is there's two separate applications from the Parks and Rec. One about Action Cove, and then another one about circulation plan and reconnecting the areas and that walkway between the fields and whatnot.
Wow,
So,
okay,
so that stuff is cooking.
that's
Excellent.
great. Glad to
Wonderful.
hear
Ray.
it.
Thank you.
Well, we send our regards to them for picking up the ball and continuing to carry it down the field.
There you go.
All right. Item C, any correspondence, Chris?
Nope, not that I've received.
All right, administrative details, the budget. It is that time of year.
So this is like, I hope, the simplest thing of all time. You might recall last meeting, we were looking at two different sheets. And then I went to see Jen, and the one sheet that was broken out by all these different subcategories is not anything that needs to go anyplace. We discussed it in our meeting. We arrived at the 6,100 figure that we had this current year.
Mhm.
So the one thing that's in front of you right now on your screen is the only thing that needs to go back to town manager. And since, as I recall, we all agreed that 6,100 would be our planning board expenses for the coming year as it was this year. The MVPC assessment we get from MVPC. So that's basically becomes a
Right.
kind of a plug figure, and the salary and wages is something that is kind of bookmarked, and then it's worked out by town finance based upon salaries and steps and all that sort of stuff. So we don't have to input two of those three lines. We just have to
Right.
agree that we want to put forward 6,100 as our planning board expenses.
Okay, this is, I have to apologize and say this is so tiny, I can't read any of those numbers.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, sorry. Does the total level fund us? Where do we?
Yes, it level funds us, but again, the MVPC could change.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. That
Right,
always,
right,
that's
It's a
just
small, would be
depends.
small
This-
amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Right,
just
and-
depends on them. It'll go up 20
and-
bucks or
And
something.
the salary will be done by those other than us.
So what is level is the planning
Is the
board expenses of
expenses.
6,100.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
And are we happy with that, or do we want to
We
try?
were
to
happy the
do-
last meeting we had.
Well, I'm asking the question again because we didn't finish the conversation. If we think we would want to try to change that.
And you know, my little thing is designating some funds for access to an attorney, but as has been pointed out, even if we did that as a separate line item, as it doesn't give us the ability to access an attorney.
Right.
No,
And-
but there
and
may be
from-
other professional services that we could access that would be beneficial
Right.
for us.
Right.
And they would be covered in there, I guess, for starting.
Right, so we spent 2,300 in 2024, we spent 3,200 in 2025. We're tracking below our budget for
Right.
2026.
Right.
So unless you have something specific,
No,
I
you're
would
right. We can't
advise you as a
justify it.
former member of the FinCom that you level fund.
Yes, I think that's the way to go because clearly we still have some wiggle room in our
And
level funded budget.
Oh, yeah, we have, thank you. We do have wiggle room. And the only conversation we had about legal fees past, having funds that we could use to engage someone directly ourselves, which you can't do. Sometimes it is helpful to say, so what happens on occasion is they like to allocate out an expense. So if we had a specific thing that we went to town council on with permission from the parents, then having $6,100 there, of which a portion could be used for legal counsel, sometimes can convince the parents that we've been good with our money.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well put.
Yeah. A non-attributed $6,100 will be just fine.
Yes,
And
thank you.
I'd like the record to show that years and years ago, there was a line item for uniforms, and I dearly miss it.
I
mean, we could
know.
get, yeah,
We
we
used
could
to
get some
look
nice
good, didn't we?
polos with some sort of, we need a planning board seal and a gavel
All of
Well,
it.
we have the money to do it, Ray.
Yeah, we need
Okay.
all of it.
We
All right.
need the, yeah, okay.
All right, well, dream on, Ray. In the
Okay,
meantime, we will submit the budget as we're looking at it right now.
So
all right.
Chris, you good with that? Chris,
Yeah.
is he here?
Yes, he's
See,
here.
this is the first time Chris has heard of the uniform thing, and now his
He's
mind is
upset. I'm
racing.
sure he's upset about it, yes.
Yeah,
He didn't get
I'm
a
not worried
shirt.
about the uniform thing.
no?
I'm not worried.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, so we'll move on then. Placement of items for future planning board agendas. I would say this item, the energy storage regulations, is on hold until further notice, right? And likewise, anything to do with 187 Main or 28 Coffin is applicant dependent at this point. I think in both cases, we're both of those projects, the next round of conversations, we'll probably need to start talking about escrow accounts and peer review because, you know, we reached the limit of what we can do without some backup, I think. So keep that in mind. So we know we have these public hearings coming up later in March. We'll be taking a look at whatever Rob and Caitlin come up with or figuring out next steps as far as
Yeah,
vision.
that should be on
how
the
we wanna
next,
handle
that should be
Sure.
a point of discussion next meeting.
Okay, so this, the visioning part,
Yeah,
at least,
and build out.
yes,
Could I ask a question back on minutes?
yes,
Was that the, I've lost track.
me
What-
too.
What,
I don't know where we stand. Chris, have you been sort of keeping track? I know she did it was like October 5th, she did that one because they had been requested. I think we saw that. And I feel like
Could she originate a list of outstanding minutes so that we can look and see how
Need to
far
know.
behind we are?
Need to know where we are.
Yeah, let her originate that list.
and I don't know, I guess Ann is wearing
Yeah.
the chair hat. We were, quote, given time by, I presume, Jen or someone to get these minutes done. And it just isn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's going on. Why are we being, denied the access that we were supposedly
Mm-hmm.
allowed to get the minutes done? Do we need to go back to an outside resource and then have the budget increase?
Mm-hmm.
Or just what, I don't know what the problem is.
I have not been able to satisfactorily pursue this, let alone get a satisfactory answer. So
I
I'll
mean,
try again.
yeah, and it's probably, it's either a select board or an Angus issue, but,
Mhm.
Well, it could be the new HR person.
well,
We don't have that person yet.
we'll say all of the above, but
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yep.
we have always been able to have reasonably prompt minutes, and it's frankly kind of embarrassing.
Well, the other thing is, looking at the budget, part of our staff budget is a percentage of the land administrator position,
Yes,
to which other boards and committees contribute as well. So the responsible client wishes that it's, this money is being well spent. So, yeah.
Yeah,
that's it.
so it's a good question, Brian.
You
Yes.
you can say an unhappy board member was forcing you to look into this, and feel free to mention my name.
Yes.
Minutes.
In the minutes, if we ever
I'm
see him.
sure, I'm sure if
I'm-
anybody wants
I
to
am
name
okay. Our government needs to be more accountable.
you're
Oh,
our designated unhappy board member of the evening, right?
Well, I mean, in his defense, it's always been sort of a point of pride of the planning board that our
Yes.
minutes were.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
disagree. I'm being a little bit flippant, which is not very
Thank you.
correct of me, but
I
yes.
appreciate it.
All right, we will try to figure out if we can get the log jam unjammed. Yes, in general, this town has been one where you could reliably go to the website and find some pretty darn current minutes from just about every board and committee. So It's worth making sure that our reputation remains intact. Chris, can you think of other agenda items?
No, I think
No,
that covers it. Thank you.
Afternoon, but yeah, we'll see what comes in. And then, of course, we do want to have this ongoing, this list of fixes to the open space bylaw. You know, these
Yeah.
qualifications and things that we want to get after.
And
Yeah.
reduced frontage lots.
And reduced frontage is another one.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Chris,
I
are you
really- I
maintaining a
really-
master list of those?
But there is a list.
There is a list. Good. It's always good to have a list.
Yes.
Yeah, I really do think we changed the language because our intention was not to count two families. But I'm fine with.
I don't think we did
But I
though.
mean,
I don't think we changed it.
I think we have to have a philosophical reset. Like Ann said, we need guidance from outside because the underlying philosophy was
Yeah,
if you can build it by right, you want to convince him to do other things that should be beneficial to you.
Right.
And in so doing, you got to entice them to do this.
yeah.
Or make it by right. So we need to revisit this, right? I think we've got 1 foot on the boat and 1 foot on the dock as it relates
Mhm.
to that.
Yeah. Yes, and I do
Well,
think, you know, now that these laws have been in use for a number of years,
Yes,
there's a whole state of the art that we may
yes.
not.
And revisit those bonuses, have another carrot out there.
Yeah, because you may want to give them carrots if they're doing stuff that is like getting into, you know, it's going to be unfortunate if it comes to pass that given the way it's written, he's better off doing a conventional subdivision. That's going to be a damn shame.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
may be where he's at.
Yeah, we shall see. The other thing is, oh, what was I going to say? It just went out of my head. Oh, we had age restriction as a bonus early on, and we did a couple of those projects. And we said, that's enough of that. We need some family housing. And we got rid of that. But we still have ADU in there. How does that work? ADU is by
I know.
right.
I know.
That's
All he has to do
definitely-
is do an ADU on every
Yeah.
single lot. I mean,
Definitely
my
has to
God,
be
there's the bonus.
revisited. Yeah,
There's the bonus.
it has to be revisited. Well, you still have to have the septic to support it.
No,
Yeah.
I know, but if
No, I know.
septic turns
So
out
I-
not to be the issue, then he's gonna look for the most amount of
And you
units.
know, if we review these open space bylaws in other communities, we may find all kinds of nice bonuses to offer.
Mhm,
So things
If-
that we haven't thought of here.
Right,
mhm.
right, exactly, right.
All right, so some bylaw work is in our future.
Yes.
All right, I do not have anything that I did not anticipate. Anything that anyone else didn't anticipate?
Well, I didn't anticipate Brian's outburst. I really didn't.
Outburst? That
I was
seems a bit-
shocked and amazed.
That seems a bit of an exaggeration.
No,
Of course it is. It's late at night, right?
Yeah.
Brian, I always enjoy your outbursts. Please
Right.
keep
Yeah.
going.
Yes,
Please,
keep bursting,
keep bursting, Brian. Keep bursting.
Ryan just had a vacation. It obviously energized him.
That's it.
Right.
All
It was Vegas.
right. Well,
Adjourn.
So moved.
so moved. All in favor? Ann Bardine, aye.
Unanimous.
Brian
All
Murphy.
right.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Chris, as
Thank
always,
you.
thank you for your work.
Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Have a good night. Thanks.